How's it? What is it about a photograph that makes me like it? Maybe you've had this question as well. You look at an image, go, I can't quite put my finger on why I like this particular image. So I thought today, what might be pretty cool is to look at a photographer whose work is, I feel, right up this avenue of discussion. I can't quite put my finger on why I like it, but we're going to try to find out today anyway. So his name is Erwin Olaf, and he passed away last year at a fairly young age. He's a photographer who I first came across when I was watching a Flern video, Aaron Nace, about how to edit an image like Erwin Olaf, and he used something like this. Now, these pictures here, I think they are absolutely stunning. I was quite captivated with them when I first saw them, probably for two reasons. The images that I was looking at to begin with, I liked the lighting. I liked the soft, sort of, it's not flat, but has that kind of feel lighting. The lighting is just so, it's very controlled, but it's not in your face. The lighting is not really playing an active role in these images. And there was something also about the expressions, the poses, the feeling that I got from these images. It was very different to, say, the feeling that I get from David LaChapelle. David LaChapelle's images, and they are totally different ideas, feel energetic. They feel like they're the middle of something that's just happened. But these photographs of Erwin Olaf's, they feel like a painting. That they are very precisely created. And I've subsequently discovered that these sets are all built, for the most part, in a studio. They're constructed over weeks, and the photography is meticulously planned. And maybe that's what drew me to these photographs, that they do feel like they are just so. That unlike, say, the energy of the street photography, where things are just happening, these photographs here are the result of hours, of days, weeks, possibly, of creating an image. And I feel that I can put a couple of other photographers into this realm as well, and I'll get back into that in a second. Remind me in a moment, because I definitely want to. I won't get there. Christian Tagliavali, tell me about it in a moment. So Erwin Olaf, I think that's what drew me in originally. That technical idea, the mysteriousness about the images. I mean, look at this. This is a young girl. She's got her hands behind her back. Her hand is clenched in a way that people do when they're nervous. As a portrait photographer, I would often see people carrying their nervousness in their hands. It's a weird thing. They can be very calm up here, but down here, it's all fists. And look at that. Right, so I've got a lovely smile. There we go. But my hands are saying, I really don't want to be here, right? So you can see that hands do tell so much in an image. I was doing a live stream or I think a cohort talk when somebody on the chat had said that Erwin Olaf had passed away. So I was like, oh my God, okay, this is the time. I really do need to go and buy another book of his. So I bought this one, the Erwin Olaf. I am. So often is the way that you think that, you love the pictures, but you never really get a chance to go there. And then something happens that pushes you along. And it opened me up to a lot of his photography that I hadn't seen previously. And as much as I would like to page through this book and show you images as we go along, I do need to be careful because some of them are, let's say, not YouTube friendly, right? YouTube has a real issue with certain ideas around art, specifically about nudity. And that doesn't always fly, especially with Erwin Olaf's photography. So I'm going to put up some images on screen that I can sort of share. Anyway, that's a little diatribe, as a little side maneuver into things. Now, I look at his photography, and this is a good example of there are photographers, I think actually all photographers, whose work you can go, I really like this. I like the photographer. I don't like all of their photography. I don't know why that seems to be an idea that could be controversial, but it seems to be that way. You can say, I like Ansel Adams, but I don't like, I don't like his new stuff, or like the stuff. I don't like his famous stuff. I like his original work, and people look at you like some lunatic. Now, Erwin Olaf falls into that category. I love I love these kind of images, the very set up studio built set kind of arrangements. But I find some of his more, let's say, emotionally driven photography. Specifically, I'm thinking about, I'll just find one here, the children, this kind of stuff, the faces and what have you. It's not really, I don't like it. It's too noisy for me. And I don't, maybe it's because the whole point is to make you feel uncomfortable when you look at these pictures. That close crop in the face that you go, oh, that's too much. This clown with the eyes, and I can see Erwin, reflected in the eyes with this giant, it looks like a Zeppelin light dish, light motif reflector behind them. The teeth of the clown, he's got the brown, it's just all like, that's it. But maybe that's the point. Maybe that's exactly what Erwin's going for. But I can't, it's too much for me. It pushes me back. Whereas the solitude, the melancholy, the quietness, the story of these images draw me in a way that I just go, oh my God, I would never have the patience to create these photographs. I would never have anything that could get to this point. I think it's amazing that Erwin was able to channel the ideas in his head into these images, that they speak so much. Backs. There's a line in 1984 where Winston is talking about how even turning his back to the telly screen would reveal so much about his emotions. And I get that from looking at that. I really didn't think about it too much at the time when I first read 1984, but now it's like, wow, I get it. I look at these. Maybe that's a cool idea for a portrait series, is, portraits of people's backs. Now, earlier, I mentioned that I asked you to remind me about somebody. I hope you remembered, because I need to go and get their book right this second. You stay where you are. All right. Okay, so this is the guy, Christian Tagliavini. I have to be careful of that because he's Italian. I don't speak Italian and my pronunciations are rubbish, but he does a very similar sort of thing. So his photography is this very stylized, very kind of, very precise imagery. Now, I first came across his photography at a convention, and it must be an SWPP convention. Oh, this would be going back 2015, around there, and it was these portraits of a Jules Verne steampunk trip to the moon, and I just immediately was like, oh, I need to see this guy's work, because I was being introduced once again to photography that was in a constructed set. I'd imagine there's actually a phrase for this kind of photography, you know, where you build a whole set, everything is just made that you build the clothes and everything is, you know, just tailor-made for the image. But I looked at this photograph here, the colors, the yellow, the blue, her pose, the lighting is just so beautiful and unobtrusive coming in there. Just look at that. Oh. And you know what? And it's deceptively simple. It's one of those things. I just, oh my, you know, it's too much. It's that vibe. It's the vibe I'm talking about. Now, Christian, he's been taking photographs for a long time. Some of these are like 2010, and the thing that I like about him that's slightly different to Erwin Olaf, for example, is that these are more stylized, for want of a better word. His Dame de Cartonne, Ladies of Cardboard, right? These are images that are, again, they're in a made-up set, and he's constructed these outfits of cardboard. I actually believe that the cardboard itself was something that was kind of built, and the ladies would sort of like put their arms through in their heads and do all this kind of stuff. And while some people might say, do you know what, that's a case of the photographer is not really a photographer, they're more just like a costume designer or something, they just happen to have taken a picture of the costume. I think that's slightly unfair, because you still need to have a technical ability to do this. From reading some of the interviews with Christian, he seems to take image quality quite seriously. So, you know, he uses digital media formats and things of that nature. And certainly if you look at the Renaissance styled images, the lighting and what have you, and this is not the best light to show images, especially on a glossy paper. But and when you look up close to them, and this is another benefit of looking at images in a book, is that you can get closer to them. And I'll put some pictures up on screen of how these images are displayed in a gallery. You know, they're huge. They're like kind of 40, 60-inch prints. And you can imagine the impact that they would have just standing there. And that's, again, you know, why you're looking for that good quality. So that's an idea about, you know, when gear actually does matter. If you're going to make big prints and you want the best quality, then you need proper equipment that can do the job. When I look at Christian's later images, especially this one here, and that whole series, and although this has been prevalent throughout his career, I think it's especially obvious in this, especially for people who are probably somewhat new to thinking about colour and how it all works, especially in portraiture. The tones of this image, the blues, the red, the yellow of the headdress. As I mentioned, you know, he makes all these outfits bespoke. They work together. It is a colourful image. And yet, I think this is the crucial part, the girl's face is not being overwhelmed by these colours. These colours are muted, but they're rich. The lady's face, it sticks out. It is the brightest part of the image. That's often when I'm sort of, you know, talking about portrait photography with, you know, people who are looking for some feedback, the face is not always the brightest part of the image. And that, if you're trying to learn how to, you know, create a compelling portrait, is something that I feel is important to focus on. You want people to look at the face, make it the brightest part, because that's what's going to draw attention. That image as well. Even from this remove, you can see that her face there, although there's a little bit of brightness there, and I can see this because I'm looking in my screen, right? It stands out. Same thing again. Look at this, right? Look at the face there. You can learn, I think, so much from looking at images like this, specifically about the color and the lighting and about simplicity. That's going to be a buzzword this year on TP, is simplicity. This photograph here, this portrait, yeah, do you know what? It's contrived, it's made up, it's planned. It is just so. It's not a spark of humanity. It is, or an expression or feeling that comes across that person's face. Everything is constructed. But that's what I love about it. Because I look at these and images from somebody like Desiree Dolren, and I think those portraits that we did see from the Renaissance and Rembrandt, all those guys, what did those people actually look like? This gives me, certainly for me, a step closer. And the more that I'm looking at this picture here, La Mercante di Drappi, which again, I've awful Italian. The last time I did a whole thing about Christian Tagliafico. See, I've done it again, right? Christian. I've had so much issues pronouncing his surname. So, either, you can go watch that video at the end of this, which I'll stick up on the screen, or you can just let me know in the comments about my really poor Italian. But, this is a wonderful photography that often doesn't get wider exposure because it is very much in the realm of the art photographer. That his work is sold at the salons, places like Photo Paris and things of that nature, the art buyers fairs. Do yourself a favor, if you're into portraiture, or if you're kind of into lighting or anything, check out these photographers' work. Owen Olaf, Christian, Desiree Dolren, who also, she saw the video, she said, "Oh my God, that's so amazing, thank you ever so much." And she sent me another copy of her book. I thought that was lovely. Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching. Check out the video that I did, the full in-depth about Christian. There's a couple of old ones there, so if you want to see what I used to look like and talk when I still was very nervous about being on camera, check it out. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you again soon.